What if the most powerful moment of your day isn't the morning, but the last 5 minutes before you sleep? While most people scroll their phones and carry stress into the night, successful people use this hidden window to reprogram their mind for wealth, clarity, and success. The thoughts you fall asleep with don't disappear. They shape your subconscious, your decisions, and your future. Tonight, you're going to learn a simple millionaire secret that works while you sleep. Do this consistently, and you won't just wake up rested, you'll wake up different. At the end of every day, there is a quiet moment most people ignore. The lights go off, the world slows down, and your body prepares to rest. But your mind is just getting started. While you sleep, your brain continues working, organizing memories, strengthening beliefs, and shaping the way you see yourself and your future. This is why the final thoughts you carry into sleep are never random. They are instructions. Many successful people understand this hidden window of influence. They don't treat bedtime as an escape. They treat it as programming. Because the subconscious mind is most receptive when you are relaxed, tired, and drifting into sleep. In that state, the barrier between what you consciously think and what you deeply believe becomes thin. Ideas slip in easier. Emotions imprint stronger. Repetition becomes identity. Think about it. If you fall asleep worrying about money, replaying failures, or comparing yourself to others, your mind keeps working on those same problems all night. It looks for proof that confirms those fears. The next day, you wake up already carrying invisible weight, doubt, hesitation, low energy. Not because something new happened, but because your mind continued yesterday's story while you slept. But imagine reversing that process. Imagine ending the day with intention. Seeing progress instead of problems. Reminding yourself that you are learning, growing, moving forward. When you feed your mind possibility before sleep, your brain begins searching for ways to make that possibility real. It strengthens neural pathways connected to confidence, creativity, and solution-focused thinking. Opportunities don't suddenly appear out of nowhere. You start noticing what was always there. This is the real secret. Your subconscious doesn't judge whether something is true or false. It accepts what is repeated with emotion. If every night you rehearse stress, stress becomes familiar. If every night you rehearse progress, progress becomes natural. Over time, your actions follow that internal script automatically. You make braver decisions. You speak differently. You expect better outcomes. And that expectation changes everything. Because success is not only built by strategy, it is built by identity. The person you believe you are determines what risks you take, what chances you notice, and how long you persist when things get difficult. Nighttime is where identity quietly forms. No audience, no pressure. Just you and your thoughts shaping tomorrow. Yet most people unknowingly sabotage this moment. They end the day scrolling through negativity, consuming comparison, absorbing other people's chaos. Their nervous system stays alert instead of calm. Their mind stays crowded instead of clear. And then they wonder why they wake up tired, unmotivated, or stuck in the same patterns. It isn't because they lack ability. It's because they are feeding their mind the wrong material at the most influential time. Your brain is like fertile soil before sleep. Whatever you plant grows roots. Fear grows, confidence grows, scarcity grows, abundance grows. The choice is subtle but powerful. You don't need hours. You need intention. Instead of replaying what went wrong, you can replay what you learned. Instead of focusing on what you lack, you can acknowledge what is improving. Instead of asking, "Why is my life like this?" you can begin asking, "What is the next step forward?" That small shift changes the direction your subconscious works overnight. The mind loves completion. If you leave the day full of unresolved worry, it keeps searching for closure while you sleep. But when you close the day with clarity, even simple clarity, your nervous system relaxes. Your brain moves from survival mode into growth mode. Creativity increases. Problem-solving improves. Emotional resilience strengthens. This is why protecting your mental environment before sleep is not self-help advice, it is mental training. You protect your money from loss. You protect your time from distractions. But your mind shapes both money and time, and most people leave it unguarded at the most critical hour. The last voices you hear, the last images you see, the last thoughts you repeat become the blueprint your brain studies all night. And here is the powerful truth: you don't need perfect positivity. You need direction. Even acknowledging that you are improving is enough. Even reminding yourself that tomorrow is another opportunity is enough. Consistent direction rewires belief far more than occasional motivation. When you stop ending your day with negativity, something quiet begins to shift. You wake up with slightly more clarity, slightly more patience, slightly more willingness to act. These changes seem small, but compounded over weeks and months, they reshape your life trajectory. Big transformation rarely comes from one dramatic action, it comes from repeated mental alignment. Your mind is always listening, especially when you are tired. That is when honesty appears. That is when doubts surface. But it is also when new beliefs can be introduced gently, without resistance. Instead of fighting your thoughts, you guide them. Instead of suppressing fear, you give your mind a better focus. You remind yourself that progress is happening, even if it's slow. You remind yourself that skills can be learned. You remind yourself that opportunities often appear after persistence, not before. These reminders may feel simple, but simplicity repeated becomes conviction, and conviction changes behavior. When you believe improvement is possible, you try again. When you believe solutions exist, you look longer. When you believe your effort matters, consistency becomes easier. All of that begins before sleep, in moments no one else sees. Close your eyes for a moment and notice how easily your mind creates images. Even without effort, you can picture a place, a memory, a conversation. That ability is not random, it is one of the most powerful tools you possess. Your brain responds to vivid imagination almost the same way it responds to real experience. The emotions activate, the neural pathways fire, and the body begins adapting to something that hasn't happened yet. This is why the way you mentally rehearse your future matters. Most people visualize by accident. They imagine worst-case scenarios, replay embarrassing moments, or picture failure before they even try. They don't call it visualization, but that's exactly what it is, training the brain to expect limitation. Over time, the mind becomes efficient at producing what it practices. Doubt becomes faster. Fear becomes automatic. Hesitation feels logical. But the same mechanism can work in your favor. When you intentionally create mental pictures of progress, achievement, and growth, you are giving your brain a reference point. You are showing it what to move toward instead of what to avoid. This doesn't mean pretending life is perfect. It means rehearsing possibility with clarity. Seeing yourself handling opportunities with confidence. Seeing yourself learning new skills. Seeing yourself making decisions that your future self would be proud of. The key is emotional detail. The brain responds to feeling more than words. When you imagine success, don't keep it vague. Notice the environment. Notice how you speak. Notice how calm you feel handling situations that once intimidated you. These details signal familiarity, and familiarity reduces resistance. What once felt unrealistic begins to feel achievable simply because your mind has visited it repeatedly. Athletes use this principle constantly. Before performance, they mentally run through movements until their body responds automatically. You can apply the same approach to life. Before sleep, when your mind is relaxed, you can rehearse the version of yourself you are becoming. Not the final destination, but the next level, slightly more disciplined, slightly more confident, slightly more focused. This practice shifts identity quietly. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" your brain begins asking, "When will I do this?" That subtle change influences behavior the next day. You take small actions that align with the image you practiced. You notice opportunities that match the direction you set. Progress stops feeling random and starts feeling intentional. Visualization is not magic. It is preparation. It reduces the shock of growth. When new opportunities appear, they feel familiar instead of overwhelming. You respond instead of retreating. Your mind recognizes the scenario because it has already experienced it internally. Alongside mental imagery, the words you repeat before sleep carry equal weight. The mind absorbs repeated statements as instructions, especially when they are simple and emotionally believable. Many people unknowingly repeat negative affirmations every night. "I'm behind. Nothing changes. I'm not good at this." These statements may feel like observations, but repetition turns them into identity. Changing this doesn't require unrealistic phrases you don't believe. It requires intentional language that moves you forward, statements that focus on direction rather than perfection, reminding yourself that you are learning, that opportunities respond to effort, that consistency builds results even when progress is invisible. The power of these statements lies in repetition, not intensity. One night won't transform everything, but consistent messaging reshapes internal dialogue. Over time, your default thoughts shift. Encouragement becomes automatic. Persistence feels natural. Your mind stops arguing with growth and starts supporting it. Gratitude is more than just a polite "thank you." It is one of the most underestimated forces that can reshape your life, quietly but profoundly. When most people think about progress, they focus only on action, the hustle, the plans, the grind. While effort is necessary, it is incomplete without the mental lens through which you perceive results. Gratitude is that lens. It shifts attention from what is missing to what is present, from frustration to possibility, from lack to abundance. And this shift alone changes the way your mind interprets experiences, your behavior, and ultimately, your results. Consider this. When you go to sleep replaying complaints or stress, your brain reinforces patterns of scarcity and limitation. It scans for problems, magnifies mistakes, and increases anxiety. But when you consciously pause to reflect on what went right, even the smallest details, your mind begins noticing potential, opportunity, and growth. A single thought, "I am thankful for today's progress," sends a signal to your brain that life is improving. Over time, your subconscious begins to prioritize noticing improvement, finding solutions, and seeking opportunities for growth. Gratitude is a mental amplifier. It doesn't just make you feel good, it trains your mind to recognize what works. By acknowledging positive moments, however small, you begin to identify patterns that lead to success. You start seeing what choices generate results and what habits produce momentum. Your attention shifts from waiting for life to improve to recognizing life's signals that improvement is already happening. This mental alignment alone increases productivity, focus, and decision-making because your brain is no longer weighed down by negativity. When you cultivate gratitude at night, you're not just reviewing the day, you're programming your brain to expect abundance. Imagine ending every night listing 3 things that went well or 3 moments that felt meaningful. The repetition strengthens neural pathways associated with positivity, resilience, and opportunity. This is not about ignoring challenges. It's about consciously choosing what your mind will study while your conscious control fades into sleep. By the time morning comes, your mind has already internalized patterns of progress and abundance, quietly preparing you to act on them. Now, pair gratitude with another powerful nighttime practice, asking your mind the right questions. Most people fall asleep, ruminating over problems. Why is this happening? How will I fix this? What if I fail? These questions keep your brain looping in fear and doubt, leaving you restless and unfocused. The mind works relentlessly, even when the body is resting. So it's crucial to ask questions that guide it towards solutions rather than replaying worries. Asking the right questions is like giving your brain a task to solve while you sleep. Instead of letting your mind stew in uncertainty, you direct its natural problem-solving ability. Questions like, "What is my next smart move?" Or, "How can I make tomorrow better?" Instruct your subconscious to search for answers and generate ideas in the background. Overnight, while you rest, your brain connects patterns, evaluates possibilities, and finds opportunities that may not have been obvious during the busy hours of the day. This practice is subtle but transformative. You don't need to solve everything before bed. You simply need to guide your brain toward the type of thinking that supports growth. While conscious thought tires quickly, the subconscious is tireless. It works in patterns, solves problems creatively, and stores insights for later action. By feeding it productive, forward-looking questions, you harness an invisible engine that is working for you while the world sleeps. Combining gratitude with solution-focused questions amplifies their effect. Gratitude softens the mind, creating a calm state where the subconscious is receptive. It reduces stress, improves emotional balance, and increases clarity. When your mind is calm, it interprets your questions more effectively. Instead of generating anxiety-driven solutions, it searches for creative, constructive ways forward. Overnight, these small mental adjustments compound. You wake up not only rested but mentally aligned, seeing opportunities you previously overlooked. Many people underestimate how much influence the last few minutes before sleep have over their life trajectory. They assume rest is only physical, ignoring that the brain never truly stops. It's always processing, learning, and reacting. Your final thoughts dictate what your mind rehearses overnight. By using gratitude to focus on abundance and asking constructive questions to guide problem-solving, you're leveraging the natural power of your mind to accelerate growth, creativity, and resilience. Consistency is key. One night of gratitude and positive questioning may help you sleep better, but repeated nightly practice rewires your mental landscape. Slowly, your mind becomes a tool for noticing opportunity, reinforcing progress, and generating solutions. Challenges that once seemed overwhelming now appear manageable. Motivation becomes self-sustaining because your subconscious has been trained to recognize and act on possibilities, not limitations. The combination of gratitude and asking the right questions creates a silent shift that compounds like interest in a bank account. Each night builds on the last. Your perspective changes, your focus sharpens, and your energy becomes directed toward constructive action. Over time, this is what separates those who feel stuck from those who continuously move forward. It's not luck. It's the intentional cultivation of the mind in moments when most people are unaware that they are still working on themselves. So, before you close your eyes tonight, pause. Reflect on what went right, even in small ways. Thank yourself for the effort you put in, and acknowledge the opportunities you noticed. Then, ask your mind a question that encourages growth. How can I make tomorrow better? What is one smart action I can take? Let these thoughts accompany you into sleep. The brain, calm and receptive, will carry them into the subconscious. By morning, you will begin to notice subtle shifts in perception, in creativity, and in action. Over time, these small nightly adjustments become the foundation of remarkable transformation. Your mind is always listening. Nighttime is your chance to guide it. Gratitude trains it to notice abundance. Questions train it to seek solutions. Together, they quietly align your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the results you desire. The changes may be invisible at first, but with persistence, they are unstoppable. Sleep is not just rest. It is preparation, training, and transformation waiting to happen. Consistency and persistence are the hidden engines behind every meaningful transformation. Most people underestimate this because they focus on dramatic breakthroughs, instant results, or overnight success stories. But the truth is that lasting change rarely comes from a single action or a moment of inspiration. It is the quiet, repeated efforts, the small choices made every day, that accumulate into life-altering results. What separates those who achieve extraordinary outcomes from those who remain stagnant is not talent, luck, or circumstance. It is the ability to show up consistently, even when motivation wanes, even when progress seems invisible. Many people give up too soon. They start strong, fueled by excitement or urgency, but when results are delayed, they lose faith. This is natural, because the human mind craves immediate feedback. But real transformation operates on a different timeline. Your subconscious, habits, skills, and mindset all evolve gradually. Each repeated action strengthens neural pathways that eventually make growth effortless. Consistency is not glamorous, but it is unstoppable. Just like a river carving through rock over decades, small, persistent actions erode resistance and create lasting impact. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about direction. It is about showing up in alignment with your goals, even when energy is low or obstacles appear. Every night, when you reinforce positive thoughts, visualize your desired future, express gratitude, or ask productive questions, you are adding another brick to the foundation of your success. You may not see immediate results, but your mind is absorbing, adapting, and creating the conditions necessary for tomorrow's breakthroughs. The momentum builds silently, invisibly, and without fanfare. True change also requires becoming the person who naturally attracts the results you desire. Many people chase goals as if results alone will change them, but transformation starts from within. You must think, act, and feel like the person you aim to become before external evidence appears. If you want to be disciplined, start by practicing self-discipline in small, consistent ways. If you want confidence, rehearse confident thoughts and behaviors daily. The external outcomes, wealth, opportunity, recognition, follow naturally from internal alignment. This principle is deceptively simple, yet most overlook it. They imagine that success will mold them into the person they need to be, instead of actively shaping themselves to match the outcomes they desire. But identity precedes achievement. The way you think about yourself determines the decisions you make, the actions you take, and the energy you carry. Your subconscious mind, trained by repeated nightly habits, begins to align your behavior with the version of you you mentally rehearse. It makes choices easier, fear less intimidating, and opportunities more visible. Consistency combined with identity-driven focus creates compounding results. One night of intentional practice may have limited effect. A week begins to show patterns. A month rewires thought habits. Over time, these small, deliberate acts accumulate into massive transformation. Like interest compounding in a financial account, the benefits multiply silently. The difference between someone who achieves remarkable success and someone who struggles is often not talent, but the consistent reinforcement of constructive thoughts, aligned identity, and deliberate action. Consider the act of preparing your mind before sleep. Doing it once may feel motivating, but the real power emerges when it becomes a ritual. Visualizing your goals, expressing gratitude, repeating affirmations, and asking productive questions night after night programs the brain to operate in alignment with your highest intentions. Each repetition reinforces beliefs, strengthens emotional resilience, and sharpens perception. Gradually, your subconscious begins taking ownership, guiding your conscious actions toward opportunities and solutions without conscious effort. This process also rewires your response to challenges. When consistent mental preparation becomes habit, setbacks no longer derail you. Instead of reacting with frustration, doubt, or fear, your mind automatically seeks solutions. You start noticing options and taking action that aligns with the person you have been training yourself to become. The nervous system, conditioned by repeated reinforcement, becomes more resilient. Motivation becomes self-sustaining because your subconscious is now a collaborator rather than a saboteur. Ultimately, becoming the person first is the foundation for achieving any lasting goal. It is the mental equivalent of building a strong house before furnishing it. If your identity is weak, temporary results may falter. If your beliefs, habits, and focus are aligned, external outcomes naturally follow. You act from a place of certainty, not desperation. You attract opportunities instead of chasing them. You respond to challenges creatively instead of reacting impulsively. The person you cultivate within becomes a magnet for the life you seek. The combination of nightly consistency and identity-driven preparation is powerful because it leverages both conscious and subconscious effort. The conscious mind sets intention and direction, while the subconscious mind executes patterns and supports alignment. Over time, this creates a self-reinforcing cycle of growth, resilience, and opportunity. Small, repeated actions compound into profound change, transforming not just what you achieve, but who you are. The final lesson is simple yet profound. Your life is built in the quiet moments, repeated daily. Success is less about dramatic action and more about disciplined thought, emotional alignment, and persistent practice. By consistently preparing your mind each night, visualizing your desired outcomes, expressing gratitude, asking constructive questions, and reinforcing the identity you want to embody, you train your brain, your habits, and your behavior to operate at a higher level. In this way, transformation becomes inevitable. You no longer rely solely on external circumstances to change. Instead, you cultivate the internal foundation that ensures success flows naturally. Your mind, trained through repetition and guided by deliberate identity, becomes a tool for continuous growth. Challenges are opportunities. Setbacks are lessons. Possibilities are visible. Dreams are actionable. And all of this begins with the simple choice to consistently prepare your mind, align your identity, and guide your subconscious each night before sleep. In the end, what feels like a small nightly habit is actually the engine driving your transformation. Each night, you reinforce the person you are becoming, the life you are building, and the results you will inevitably achieve. The quiet repetition of thought, intention, and alignment compounds silently, steadily, and powerfully until the life you once